Hey guys, today we're peeling back the glossy layers of pop culture to answer something you've probably never stopped to think about. Why you care so deeply about celebrities you've never even met. Maybe you're walking down the grocery aisle and your eyes instantly snap to a tabloid with a celebrity breakup on the cover. Or you wake up, scroll through your feed, and suddenly you're feeling personally betrayed because a favorite actor took a controversial role. It's strange, right? You know them, but you don't know them. So, before we go deeper into today's topic, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. You lean in close to the screen, or maybe you're listening with headphones, and for a few moments, you feel like you're in the same room as your favorite actor or musician. That illusion of closeness? It's not an accident. It's baked into how your brain processes social connection. Long before social media, your ancestors relied on face-to-face contact to build bonds, read intentions, and spot threats. You're wired to respond emotionally to faces, voices, and stories. The twist? Your brain doesn't make a strong distinction between real and virtual when it comes to social cues. That friendly smile from a YouTuber? Your subconscious codes it a lot like a smile from someone in your tribe. This is called parasocial interaction, a fancy term for a very simple phenomenon: one-sided relationships that feel emotionally real. You hear them talk, you see their expressions, you know their quirks. Over time, they start to feel like friends. And the more time you spend with someone, even digitally, the stronger the connection feels. That's why you gasp when they cry on camera, or why it stings when they make a mistake. Your brain's saying, "Hey, that's someone in our circle." Imagine you watch a late-night host every evening. They joke the way your cousin does. They have catchphrases you repeat with your friends, and you know exactly when they're going to raise an eyebrow before delivering a punchline. That repeated exposure forges a neural shortcut. Familiarity equals trust. It's the same mechanism that makes you favor a coffee shop because the barista knows your order. The brain rewards familiarity. It feels safe. And this isn't just about entertainment. The psychological effect here is the mere exposure effect, a principle that says the more you're exposed to something, the more you tend to like it. That's why an actor you initially didn't care for might slowly grow on you after a few interviews and a guest spot on a podcast. They start to seem approachable, even kind. You like them now, not because they changed, but because they became familiar. Let's bring in an example. Think about Tom Hanks. No scandals, always polite, and he's been on your screen since forever. You feel like you know him, like you trust him. That trust comes from more than just his roles. It's from years of repeated exposure, emotional stories, and body language your brain filed under safe person. You wouldn't feel that way about a random person in the street who said the exact same things. But Tom? That's America's dad. Your subconscious has made its decision. Of course, it's not just positive feelings. You can form these connections with celebrities you dislike too. Ever felt a weird satisfaction when a celebrity you don't like gets caught doing something shady? That emotional charge, whether love or irritation, still stems from connection. You've spent time, mental and emotional time with them. Even if it's just background noise during a podcast, they've built a space in your head. Now, the kicker is this. These aren't real relationships. They can't hear you. They don't know you exist. But your emotional reactions are real, and they feel real because your brain can't help but respond to human cues. When you're watching someone cry on camera, mirror neurons in your brain light up, helping you feel what they feel. That's empathy at work, and it doesn't need both parties to be involved. Just you and a screen, and that's enough. But here's where it gets even more interesting. You don't just care about celebrities because they feel familiar. You care because they mean something to you. They plug into parts of your psychology that are constantly trying to answer questions like, who am I? Who do I want to be? Where do I belong? Celebrities, without ever intending to, become avatars for all of that. You start to notice it when you're younger. Maybe a pop star's confidence gave you the courage to be yourself in high school. Or a famous athlete showed you what perseverance looks like when your own life felt like a string of failures. You latch onto them, not just because they're entertaining, but because they symbolize something you wish you had. or maybe something you do have and want to protect. This is known as identification, a psychological effect where you align your identity with someone else's qualities. You don't just admire them. In a quiet way, you see yourself in them. And it's not always conscious. Sometimes it's subtle. Maybe you adopt a way of speaking, or a hairstyle, or even a mindset because someone you admire does it. These aren't just superficial tweaks. They're ways of constructing who you are, especially during phases of life where your sense of self is still under construction. Celebrities are cultural blueprints. You borrow from them when you're building your identity, the same way you might borrow clothes from a stylish friend. Think about how different fan bases form. Swifties, Marvel nerds, BTS Army, comedy podcast loyalists. You don't just watch or listen, you join. There's merch, inside jokes, shared rituals. It becomes a community. This speaks to your deep-seated need for belonging, a fundamental part of being human. Even if you're isolated in real life, being part of an online fan base gives you a shared language, a sense of us. And let's be real, sometimes that feeling is more comforting than any real-world group you're part of. Let's say you follow a popular YouTuber who started from nothing and now has millions of subscribers. You cheer their success like it's your own. Why? Because you've tied their narrative to your own dreams. You see the version of yourself who could make it. That's the aspirational function of celebrity. They represent what's possible, and when you're stuck, tired, or lost, their progress becomes emotional fuel. Even if you never meet them, their journey lights something up in you. On the flip side, sometimes you care because their downfall makes you feel safer. It levels the playing field. A celebrity cheats, lies, spirals, and you watch it unfold with a strange sense of relief. Not because you're cruel, but because seeing someone idolized become flawed makes the world make more sense. It confirms that no one's perfect, not even them. In psychology, this is tied to something called social comparison theory. You measure yourself against others to understand where you stand, and celebrities are extreme benchmarks. Seeing them struggle makes your own imperfections feel a little more acceptable. Take Britney Spears. For years, her personal life was public property. Whether people pitied her, mocked her, or rooted for her comeback, they cared, because her story tapped into themes of control, freedom, mental health, and redemption. It wasn't just her, it was what she represented. That's the emotional transaction at the heart of parasocial bonds. They give you a way to process big, messy topics at a safe distance. And here's something else. With social media, that distance feels smaller than ever. Celebrities reply to comments, post raw videos, and share daily routines. You feel like you're getting the real them. But it's still a curated feed, still a performance. You're interacting with an image, but your brain keeps reacting as if it's intimacy. And the more you respond, the stronger the loop becomes. This is how the line between fan and friend blurs, until you find yourself defending someone you've never met, like their family. The truth is, these connections serve a function. They give you hope, identity, comfort, and sometimes just something to talk about when the rest of life feels empty. There's no shame in that. Your brain's doing what it was built to do. Seek connection, seek meaning, seek tribe. Celebrities just happen to be the modern stand-ins for the village storytellers, warriors, and healers. They're not gods, and they're not demons, but they are symbols. And symbols are powerful. Sometimes you just need to know you're not alone in feeling things deeply, even when those feelings are sparked by someone you'll never meet. The emotional pull of celebrities isn't weakness. It's a reflection of how beautifully wired you are for connection, story, and belonging. As Carl Jung once said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. That holds true, even if only one side of that meeting is real. So go ahead, laugh with them, cry for them, learn from them. Just remember, the real power has always been inside you.